Salvete discipuli. In this video, we're going to be talking about adjectives governing cases. So let's take a look at these first three sentences. He is eager. Eager is an adjective. He is eager for power. Mary is full. Full is an adjective describing Mary. Mary is full of grace. The province is next to the Gauls. Next is an adjective describing the province. What is next? Or next to, we probably could have underlined the to as well. Next to the Gauls. In these sentences, the prepositional phrases for power, of grace, and to the Gauls modify the adjectives eager, full, and next. These prepositional phrases which modify adjectives are often translated into Latin by the genitive or dative or ablative without a preposition. So we do use prepositions when we say them in English. For power is a preposition, right? For is the preposition. But what we do in Latin instead is we say he is eager, and then we just put power in a certain case. Is another way of what they're saying, of saying what they're saying here. Thus, cupidus always takes the genitive case. It makes no difference whether the English is eager for power or desirous of power. So sometimes we'll see desirous of power, and then we'll see, okay, of power, put it in the genitive. If you put it in the genitive, you would be correct. But if you say desirous for power, you might put it in the dative, right? So you could, depending on how you say it in English, you could put it in different cases if you were just looking at the preposition, right? And so what they're telling you here is these adjectives, which have cases that go with them, you just learn the case with each adjective and then don't use a preposition at all. Don't worry about, just use whatever case you're told to use, in other words. Okay, cupidus always has the genitive case. Likewise, finitimus, or next to, always has the dative case. Plenus, however, takes either the genitive or the ablative, and either is correct. Some people used it with the genitive, some people used it with the ablative. The sentences written above must be translated this way. Imperii cupidus est. So cupidus est means he is eager. Cupidus est. The he is just kind of wrapped up in the est. And he is eager for power. And so power is imperium, right? And how do you do imperium? It's a second declension neuter word in the genitive. Imperii, right? So imperii, of power, cupidus est. Of power he is covetous or desirous. Maria est gratia plena, or you could say gratiae plena, because plenus, however, takes either the genitive or the ablative. So here it is, gratia taking the ablative, and gratiae is grace in the genitive. Now, in the Hail Mary, when we say she is full of grace, we're using the ablative. And so I think it would be easiest to just say gratia plena and use the ablative for plena. But if you were to use the genitive, you would not be incorrect. You would not lose points. Now, the province is next to the Gauls. Provincia finitima est means the province is next to, but next to the Gauls. We say we put it in the dative. And because it's next to the Gauls plural, we want to put it in the dative plural. So provincia Galliis finitima est. You could also say provincia finitima est Galliis, I suppose. Latin word order was very flexible. And so here is your new vocab that goes with adjectives governing cases. We have some new vocab. We have cupidus aum, which means eager or desirous, and we use it with the genitive. So not only is it a first and second declension adjective that we need to put in with first and second declension endings, but the next word we're going to put in the genitive when we say desirous of something. Plenus aun is full, and it's another first and second declension adjective, and we use either the genitive or the ablative with it. Finitimus aun means neighboring or next to. We put it with the dative. And then, we have a third declension adjective, which we use with the genitive or the dative in similes. Similes, simile. Similes we're going to use for masculine and feminine. And then all of the things that come from similes. And then simile is for anything that's neuter. And we're going to use genitive or dative with that. Okay? So let's just do, since we have three examples here, let's get an example for similes simile, which is like or similar. Okay, so similes simile. First, let's decline similes simile, and then let's get one example here. Let's do two charts, one for similes and one for simile. Simile, similes. So similes, we're given the nominative, and we know that in the genitive, all our third declension nouns and adjectives have to end in is too, so it's similes, similes. First two are both similes. Dative would be simile, similem. Simile would be simile, but it's an I stem. Simile, similes, similium, because of the I stem nature of adjectives. Similibus, similem, similibus. Simile has to be down here as well because it's a neuter word. And likewise, because it's neuter, it's going to be similia, not just a, but ia, because of the I stem nature of third declension adjectives, and similia down here as well. Has to be similis here, simile, and simile again down here. Similium, and then similibus. Now we use the genitive or the dative with this. So let's say the Roman is not similar to the Gaul. So Romanus is our subject, okay? And if we're describing our subject, then we would also use a nominative, and we would use it from the nominative masculine. So Romanus similis to the Gaul non est, right? To the Gaul. So the way to say a Gaul is Gallus, Galli. It's a second declension masculine word, so I'm going to write Gaul here. That's the stem. And we have to pick, are we going to use the genitive or the dative for this? I prefer to use the dative, but you can use the genitive. So Gaul and the dative. Us io, so Gallo, similis Gallo, non est. So Romanus similis Gallo non est. So the Roman, similar to the Gaul, is not. Let's do one where the thing being similar is not the subject. although typically I think you're going to see these being the subject. So I think you're going to be using these nominatives up here. So we can say Mary prays, Maria orat, cum. Let's say Mary prays with something that's similar to something else. So let's say Mary prays with a sailor, or a Gaul that's similar to a sailor. Okay, so cum Gallo with a Gaul, cum Gallo simile. Now simile is describing the Gaul, but because Gaul is ablative, because it's with the Gaul, simile has to be ablative as well. Cum Gallo simile, and then to the soldier would still be either genitive or dative. Cum Gallo simile, well, let's use another dative, to a sailor. Simile naut, and if we're using dative, naute. I guess genitive and dative are the same in the first declension anyway. I. So Maria orat cum Gallo simili naute, with a Gaul like a sailor, who is similar to a sailor. All right. What we're going to do in this next part of the video is we're going to do exercise 98, just parts of exercise 98, which is, we're going to do the first three, 1, 2, 3. Okay, the first sentence is Gali, Gloriae Cupidi, erant. The next one is Filius, Similis, Patris est. And then Gali, Finitimi, erant, provinciae. Okay, let's take a look at these. So subject and verb. Verb is erant. I see it's plural, so I need a plural subject. Gali works for my plural subject. So we have the Gauls were. The Gauls were. The Gauls were what? Well, the only adjective out of these two is cupidi, so they were desirous. And does cupidi match Gali? Yes. Cupidus aum is a first, second declension adjective. We have a second declension word, so it makes sense that they have the same ending, so we're desirous. So the Gauls were desirous. And we learn to use the genitive with desirous or envious. Or covetous, we can also say. So that is genitives of glory. But even if we were to have an English sentence that said they were hungry or desirous for glory, okay, I want to be clear. The reason we're using the genitive on glory, right? The reason we have a genitive ending is not because they're desirous for, or desirous of something. Okay, we think of as being with the genitive. Even if they were eager for something, and we think of for as dative, we're still going to use the genitive because cupidus aum is an adjective that uses the genitive with it. Okay, let's do the next one. Filius similis patris est. So the son is our subject and verb. The son is. So the son is. Filius est. Son is what adjective? That's a noun, that's an adjective. The son is similar. And then with similis, Go back and check with the dative. That doesn't look like a dative. Oh, it says with genitive or dative. Excuse me, with similes is with the genitive or the dative. Okay, so it looks like they're using the genitive here. The son is similar, okay, so to the father. Now, this is where it kind of can be a little tricky. To the father sounds dative, right? But patris is genitive. Patri is the dative, right? And if we're seeing an English sentence that says the son is similar to the father and we were going from English to Latin, we would be tempted to look at that to the father and think dative and put patri. And if we did, that would be okay because it allows the genitive or the dative, so that would be correct. But we'd be tempted to look at patris and think of it as being incorrect. But you could put patris too. It's kind of like saying the son is similar to the father, and so therefore dative is okay. But maybe he is what's a way we could say the same thing but using of in English? He is a spitting image of, right? There we go. He is a spitting image of the father, and therefore we can put genitive as well. All right, let's do our last sentence. Galli finitimi erant provinciae. So erant is our verb. That means they were. Who were? Who's our plural subject? Galli. So the Gauls were. Gauls were. Gauls were what adjective? This is a noun. This is our adjective. So they were finitimi. What does finitimus aum mean? It means neighboring or next to. So we'll put next to. We're next to or neighboring. Next to what? Next to the province. And finitimus aum, it says to use the dative. Provinciae is a dative ending. So it all checks out. They were next to the province. All right. Valete discipuli.